Big Fat Gay podcast where we talk about the things that are weighing on our minds. I'm Trevor Keyson. I'm a super chub. And today I'm a Sunday coffee boy. I got my little mug of coffee. I'm sipping it. It's warm in my hands. I feel like an old woman taking a deep breath, looking out on the rain and saying, we needed this.
We needed this. Yes, indeed. Hi, my name is Michael Willer. I'm a chubby chaser, and as distinct from Trevor, I am a iced coffee cauldron boy this morning. I've got my massive Dutch Bros iced coffee, and I still think we needed this, though.
My name's Don. I'm a big chubby guy living here in sunny Hollywood. For a second there, I forgot who the hell I was. I was like, I have an intro and I don't know what I'm saying.
No, nobody does.
I think I'm a demented dementia boy today. I just can't seem to quite get my brain into order, but we'll see how that works out.
Jesus.
Hello, my name is Dan Oliverio, author, public speaker, and chubby chaser. And today I am a running around. It's a Sunday boy.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. I don't know. I've got things on the stove. I've got things in the oven.
Oh.
All metaphorically because we're not cooking anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
I got excited for food.
Daniel, the crab puffs, they're burning.
I have like 3 or 4 projects that all come due within 24 hours of each other.
Is that a Frasier reference? I need to know.
I feel like it's a very sitcom-y, like running around the house.
Oh, it is? Because it made me think of Frasier.
I do want crab puffs now, though.
There are no crab puffs, Don.
They're all in your mind.
Leading me on.
The crab puffs are a lie.
Well, thank you to our partners, Bearskin and Big Fig. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, listener, for listening. If you want to use our link to support us, you can get a Big Fig and we get a little kickback. Or you can treat yourself to some Bearskin undies, shorts, jock straps, thongs also. Use promo code BigFatGayPod to save 15% off your order.
Yeah.
Join our Discord. We have an amazing little community there. People running game nights, people sharing stories, supporting each other. And also, we have a newsletter coming out soon, I think.
We do. Did I mention all those projects coming due within 24 hours?
If you're not a Discord person, sign up for a newsletter. If you're not neither, don't worry about it.
I guess, so one of the things is like, we sort of mentioned this in the same breath as the people who, you know, help support the show monetarily, but these are opt-in features. These are just like, if you're looking for a sense of community or just want to be a little bit more informed or a little more up to date like that, it's like fully opt-in. Obviously, you don't have to do anything more than listen to the show, and we love you all the same. All right. Speaking of which, we love it when we get a mailbag. Love the smell of a good mailbag in the morning. So today we have a relatively new listener writing us in saying, I just want to say thank you for this podcast. Myself, Chub, and my husband, Chub, started listening recently. We both always had some body image issues, and it's been great to hear such a friendly stance. It's made a tremendous difference in my life and feeling more confident. This morning, a person slid into my DMs to let me know I was fat. You're right.
Like a public service announcement.
Yeah, why, thank you.
You've been found out.
Incredible. Just incredible what people think is important to say. That has happened several times before, and each time I have depression and anxiety flare up and I retreat to a dark place. Today, however, it was different. I read the comment and actually laughed. I responded with, "This isn't new information, sir, and I encourage you to educate yourself. Have a big fat gay day."
Great.
It didn't even make me take a second thought. That's the difference you all have made in this chubby boy's life. Keep fighting the good fight, and thanks again.
I love that.
This is like incredible. So
that just makes me happy.
When I first read this, I don't know, maybe it was stuff that was going on. Maybe it's just like needing to hear a positive message, but I got choked up reading it.
Oh,
especially just it didn't even take me a second thought, like that level of, It's one thing to feel like you have the tools available to work through something when it happens. And it's another thing entirely to not even feel like you have to work on it, to just be
that's the dream.
Okay. Yeah, that's like phenomenal. And we just absolutely love hearing about that. And we're really happy that you were able to have that experience as well. Because obviously there are some shitty people out there that love to fully uninvited jump into your life to tell you things about yourself.
I'm like, what is the intent of someone like that? Excuse me, did you know you are fat? Like, what is the purpose behind such a comment even in the first place?
Self-hating chasers. I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
I feel like it speaks volumes about a person where one of the ways that you can amuse yourself is just by trying to intentionally go and spread pain to someone else.
Yeah.
That is your goal there in that moment. There is nothing else to be achieved.
But at the same time, for a fat person, like, didn't people not know that we know we're fat? Like, do they expect someone to read that email and there's like the violin string and the fat person looks at their hands, is like, oh my God.
I think it's even more innocuous than that. I think it's more like, if you see a really tall person, you're like, wow, you are really tall. I'm like, yes, thank you for that groundbreaking information.
No, I can tell the difference.
Yeah.
So I've told this story before. I worked on Charlie's Angels 2, and I was on a set filled with Southeast Asian people.
Mhm.
And I spent 3 days with a string of straight Asian men touching my torso going, you're so big.
Mhm.
Wow, God, are you big?
That's what I mean.
With none of the cruelty of it. That is not my experience in America. There are very different
true.
things.
Yeah, I've spoken about that a lot, that in Asia particularly, fat is hardly looked on well, but it's not the stigma. It's not the like, we can't talk about this. I have something to tell you.
If I had to guess, I would say that the listener is probably editing slightly what was actually said so that it's not like a sliming message. Like, I suspect it was more than just you're fat. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I don't. But there's a lot of that though. That's like so.
There is
just drive-by notifications,
like 8-year-olds. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Trevor and I both have talked about random cars passing by and just wanting to let us know that we're fat while they're driving past.
Yeah.
All right, on to pop culture. So our first story comes from TV Insider, and it's revisiting an old topic from our past that we haven't talked about in a few years. That old TV gem of The Biggest Loser.
Mm-hmm.
Jillian Michaels. Is that her name? I can never remember the name of her.
Yeah.
She has the continued distinction of being the only person I've ever called a C word on this show.
Yep.
I don't even remember why I called her that, but I stand by my statement.
Back when we were still trying to do a PG-13 show.
Yeah.
On Netflix, we have a new documentary coming out called Fit for TV that's doing an in-depth dive into The Biggest Loser.
With a lot of contestants and producers of the show in the documentary.
Yeah.
And also the one trainer from the show that I remember liking, the Bob Harper guy, who seemed much less toxic than the other trainers on the show.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar with the show, here's the audio from the trailer for the documentary. Give you an idea of what the show is, the cultural impact, and all that stuff.
All my life, I want to be the biggest loser. Work me till the day I die.
Being on The Biggest Loser is just like winning the lottery.
Whoever loses the most weight wins $250,000. More than 10 million people watched the finale. It was huge.
To see us in a gym yelling, screaming, that's good TV.
This is what America thinks is healthy and safe.
Being seen as a person and not just a body is much rarer for fat people.
Well, we're big.
Biggest Loser was the best thing that ever happened to us.
It was.
We were not looking for people who were overweight and happy.
I'm a secret eater.
We were looking for people who were overweight and unhappy.
Maybe it would fix my marriage. Maybe it would fix me.
I'll do anything to be on your show. The Biggest Loser!
They were really reinforcing the stereotypes.
People like making fun of fat people.
And producers loved that. They were like, we want them to puke. We want the madness of it all.
I was given a caffeine pill.
My organs were literally shutting down.
You can't have a show based on weight loss that's safe.
I could barely walk, and I was in such pain, and they said, just walk it off, just walk it off.
I would never put anyone in harm's way.
The shame, being a failure after being a success.
Why didn't anybody let me know that I could have just ruined my life?
I think there's a bit of PTSD.
You tell me one show that's actually changed people's lives the way The Biggest Loser has, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh boy.
The Biggest Loser was a weight loss reality, quote unquote reality show where they forced people to lose as much weight as was possible, not necessarily in the most healthy of ways. Although they never portrayed that on the show. They always portrayed it like this is what you should be doing at home on the show.
If you were serious.
Yeah.
I never realized it was a $250,000 prize. Never.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I saw this trailer and I was like, I don't really want to watch this right now because I knew it would be unpleasant. And this era of television reality show, which like I feel like was a direct response to 9/11 in a very weird kind of specific way. So like there's The Biggest Loser, there's America's Next Top Model, Fear Factor, like all these shows where it was just people getting screamed at and tortured in different ways.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting the trailer talks about wanting to see people throw up because there was also like a big thing on Fear Factor of like, we're going to put a bunch of snakes and roaches in this blender and you can get $20,000 if you drink it without throwing up.
So it's interesting. I never obviously avoided The Biggest Loser like the plague, like had less than zero interest in engaging with it. And it always just felt so slimy and gross. Not a fan of this kind of reality TV in general. Not a fan of reality TV usually. And to see the people involved in it, like you always assume that everyone is sort of complicit, I guess like willfully complicit. And like seeing some of the people like the trainer saying like, I would never put people in harm's way. And he seems to be reflecting on how gross it all was, as opposed to being like Jillian Michaels, who maybe was fully bought into it. But then you're kind of like, well, but you still did it. I'm curious to what degree he is like feeling regret, for instance.
Yeah.
And that's what the documentary will probably show us.
Yeah. Yeah. They obviously they can't put that
in the preview
fully in the trailer because you know, that's the hook. You want to see what people actually think about it all because it was so crazy.
And that is very much on my mind when I think about Bob Harper specifically. He always seemed like such a nice person, but his association with the show it icked me out.
Yeah.
It really icked me out.
But at the same time, like in 2004, you would never be like, why isn't anyone stopping this?
Oh, no. Yeah, no, of course.
No, God, no.
And just like body culture stuff, like was so weird in the aughts. I've seen a lot of stuff recently about critiquing the kind of like Gen Z fascination with, you know, the Y2K aesthetic and everything, because it's ignoring all of this like really toxic body culture, like The Biggest Loser. A lot of stuff I've seen about the Britney Spears 2007 VMAs, where they were like, look how fat and disgusting and bloated Britney Spears is. And she's just like, looks like gorgeous.
Yeah.
But, you know, not the way they wanted. And I was thinking about The Biggest Loser and my mom.
Really?
And like her body stuff. And she did not watch the show. I mean, because it was everywhere, because it was one of the biggest shows in America. But like, it was never discussed. And I would be curious. I might like ask her, what did you think of this show when it was on? Because it was nonstop, because it was like the top Monday night or Tuesday night or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it was like ABC's like American Idol almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. That's how I always looked at it. 10 million people watching the finale is not insubstantial.
And, you know, something you said, Trevor, you said it was one of the biggest shows in America. I think you're forgetting the franchises overseas.
Oh, yeah.
In Latin America and maybe in Spain, it was called La Báscula, which means basically the scale, which is interesting that word has enough drama in it to sell a show.
Interesting.
Well, because like there was the whole like first episode was just everyone
getting weighed,
getting on the scale, and like the dramatic music sting when you see the weight stop at whatever number.
Yeah,
especially because they don't necessarily go into the fact because it's a reality show, game show in that format. I guarantee you, every single one of those contestants had binged like a motherfucker for like 2 weeks before getting on that first weigh-in.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Like
100%.
all of them gained every pound they could.
I just like to take this opportunity to reinforce something that I always say, which is it's never about health.
No.
Never, ever about health. This was a game show where you compete for weight loss. It is clearly unhealthy. That doesn't matter. It's about weight loss. That's healthy. It's this lie they keep perpetuating that if you weigh less, you are healthier.
Yeah. And which some of their interviewees, ex-contestants talk about and clearly are still dealing with the ramifications of. Like, this is why we talked about it, however, 5.5 years ago, how long it was. Like, it was that permanent damage to some of the contestants.
Yeah. Oh, horrible, horrible damage.
I'm curious how much this documentary will go into that. Like, I feel like they have to. But also at the same time, I think it's going to be more about like the construction of the show. I'm also curious as to like, why do this now?
It comes out on August 15th, by the way. Unless people are like wondering like why we haven't watched it yet before we talk about it. It comes out in a month.
All right, it's time for Fat Watch. Fat Watch 2025.
I'm very happy to present this. This is a great story. So ProPublica, if you're familiar with them, they are an independent nonprofit newsroom that produces investigative journalism. And they're really tremendous. They do a lot of work. Basically, their job is to highlight stuff that doesn't get highlighted to try to bring some sunlight to some very awful things. And the awful thing they're bringing light to this time is the American insurance system, which if you have, you wouldn't think it, but you know, if you have a for-profit insurance company, they're kind of for profit, and the way they make profit is by charging enough money. And the way they keep expenses down is denying claims.
That's the thing I could never figure out during the whole like Obamacare thing was people screaming about death panels when it's like, that's what you have. That's what you have right now.
Yeah, except the death panel is just, nope, cost too much. Sorry. We can't make a profit with you being sick like this. So what ProPublica has done, which is genius, they have set up a claim file helper. So you may not know this, but people are often denied claims. In fact, and many people know that you file a claim to get treatment. They systematically deny it because they figure that a large percentage will just never try again and they save money. So everything you submit to get your claim fulfilled goes into a claim file. You actually, as a consumer, have a right to see this claim file and know the basis for your denial. So what is so cool is that ProPublica has set up an algorithm. It asks you some questions. You fill that out. They send you a PDF of a letter that you would send to your health insurance company requesting your claim file. Your claim file contains the inner workings of why you got denied and even the stuff that you're not supposed to see, because you are entitled to see everything, including things like phone calls and whatever.
Internal communications,
stuff that they would never send you, right? So you get the whole claim file, and you should get that within 30 days. And then if you want, ProPublica will follow up with you if you agree to be emailed by them.
Freaking amazing. What a tool. That's so cool.
It's amazing. But to have a form you can fill out, because otherwise, and by the way, you're doing this all when you're sick, right? That's what kills me.
Yeah, like that's the whole thing is like, is filing an appeal to my claim denial ever going to do anything? Well, yeah, like that's how it's built
to discourage you.
And this kind of service helps smooth out that, I got denied and I have to file an appeal. I guess, how do I do that? This will walk you through the process step by step and get you what you need in order to do the appeal properly and get the result that you want. Or at least have a shot at it.
Yeah.
What a freaking godsend.
Yeah.
So for our non-American listeners, obviously American healthcare is a for-profit institution, unlike other places where, yes, they have insurance, but in many places it is required to be nonprofit.
God, yes.
Personally, I would love to see America move to that model, that no one gets to profit off sick people.
Even if you don't need to file a claim, I would share this ProPublica source like on Facebook, because you probably know several people that have been denied claims and need to know their rights. I just like that this is something you can share for everyone, and you won't have that like one aunt of yours rolling her eyes as she scrolls past on Facebook. It's a good resource. Thank you, ProPublica.
Yeah.
Our main subject, the Body Positivity Project on Instagram, we've talked about them before. I've shared some of their stuff on Instagram, was highlighting the fact that right now in the United States, there are 2 separate productions of Waitress, the musical, happening, both featuring plus-size actresses in the role of Jenna, the lead. And so the 2 productions happening. One is in Birmingham, Alabama at the Red Mountain Theater. And Beta Margarita Spindola, which is an amazing name, is playing Jenna. And then in South Bend, Indiana at the South Bend Civic Theater, Karen Nicole Joseph is in the role of Jenna.
Yay!
And something cool about the South Bend Civic Theater production is it is a majority plus size cast. All of the waitresses in the diner in the musical are played by plus size actresses. Most of the patrons are plus size. It is just a very cool thing to see. And I think also like just interesting on kind of like a different level, because it is this small town diner in the musical and like the people in the town. And like, there's a lot of towns where most people are fat. Like, it's just, as someone from the Midwest, it just kind of warmed my heart to see like, this looks like if you went to like a small town diner, like just the people look like not Broadway stars. Like, they just look like people.
Trevor, you and I actually know people at South Bend Civic Theater.
Really?
And they have a long history of being committed to diversity and inclusion. And I would assume that this is just part of that you can include fat people in that.
What a shock.
I love that.
So I'm realizing more and more, I'm trying to assess like how much of this is just my historically bad memory and how much of it is real. But I don't remember really having any noticeable fat people in my life or in my field of view until that one English teacher that I came across when I was in 9th grade and I was already 14 years old. Like, just in terms of like, if I had gone to see this local production and seen like a fat cast, like that would have been so, I don't know, like, I think that would have really stuck with me. I think that would have really stuck out to me in a good way.
Yeah.
And I've been racking my brain, like, am I just like forgetting something? And like, I really feel like I just didn't have fat people in my life for whatever reason.
I can tell you that in the world of entertainment, the chances are you probably didn't see a lot of fatter entertainers around them, because if you were a fat entertainer, you really were only relegated to fat roles, which were rare. And you might be able to get like a fat actor as like the best friend role, maybe.
Yeah.
But very rarely would they be memorable. The other one is like on theater, you would have the large actor. They would roll out to center stage. They would belt out a big show-stopping song, and then you'd never see them again, which you think of as being an old-fashioned thing. But even the musical Rent, there's another core member of the cast that no one remembers. She's the belter. She plays a homeless lady on there. And the woman who sings This Is Me in
The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, she plays that role in the live version on CBS. The role doesn't have a name. They even beefed up the role a little bit so that she would stand out a bit more.
Isn't she playing the bearded lady?
Yeah, she plays the bearded lady in The Greatest Showman.
I think it's so interesting, Don, because you talked about the like, oh, there's that one fat character and it's like, oh, the garbage can in Beauty and the Beast, or just like they get some like great but kind of degrading role.
Well, I know from many, many years in theater training and university, the first thing a fat actor encounters in life is their acting teacher, their singing teacher saying, yeah, but if you want to be a professional, you must lose weight. Like that your size is by definition a barrier. And it's not that that is bad advice, because we've just talked about the landscape out there. I think it is more true actually in theater, that being fat stops more theater careers than stops film careers, because film is great for, you can be a background actor, you can be a character actor. There's more casting in films, because films can have dozens, if not hundreds of people in them. Whereas theater, a big cast in a play is 7.
I feel like the meat of this is like looking at what does it change and like what further context can it give a character? Because I was thinking about like so many musicals, it is like, we get the status quo song kind of at the start of the show. And then there's the I want song, which is like, I am in this world and I want more. And everyone wants more. Everyone is the hero in their own story. But I feel like so much of the time, it's like, if you have a fat man or a fat woman in this role, it just feels to me like there's so much more to it, because it's always like, I am the outsider in this Broadway land town, and I want to go to the thing so I can be more. And anything I think of when you make the main character fat, I feel like, wow, there's like so much more. There's layers to that.
It increases the stakes.
I think the Disney movies, it becomes the I want songs from Disney movies, I think are one of the reasons why I think a lot of fat people and gay people get drawn to Disney movies.
I love that. Yeah.
The Little Mermaids, I want to be where the people are. That's not just a closeted gay kid anthem. I think that's legitimately a fat, like wanting to fit into the world anthem. The Mulan song, right? When will I match my reflection? I feel like a lot of these things are chomping at the bit for fat representation. So it's not surprising to me to feel that need.
Yeah. So Trevor was talking about like the fat protagonist having the like, I want more moment, and kind of the subtext that brings. And I'm trying to think of like the idea that like the fatness is not necessarily something you can just like cover up. How many like arcs is it like the sort of misguided attempts at fitting in until you eventually realize I am who I am and I can love and accept myself, and that's like the completion of the arc. But I don't know, there's like an extra layer there of the fatness, which is that you can't just hide that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other thing that is really important to distinguish here, when Audra McDonald, a Black actor, plays the lead in Gypsy, it changes the show because it has different resonance.
Yeah.
There's a thing where changing an element of identity in a show, it goes off like a bomb. The difference is here with fatness. I think gay used to be this. People get blamed for being fat. And the answer to I'm fat, but I want more is, well, then lose weight, you fat fuck.
Yeah.
There is a huge tidal wave of pushback that if you wanted more, you would do something else. And it's really that insulting. And I'm saying it that way for a reason, that it is something that a lot of other people don't face because it's just called discrimination. Here, one is blamed for being discriminated against.
To support what both Michael and Dan are saying here, I want to talk about the makeover moment that I think is very common in a lot of entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Where, oh, look, if you take the glasses off,
Quick change.
let the hair down, switch into a more flattering dress, and boom, she's a goddess.
Popular.
I can't even point at any specific example of it, but it just feels so ubiquitous, right? I can't remember that ever happening to a fat girl. Like, does that happen in Hairspray? Does she have a makeover moment?
It does. It does. The mother.
The Welcome to the 60s, the kind of Mr. Pinky's.
Okay.
And it also happens in Empire Waste, where she's a fat fashion designer and she gives her fat friend a makeover, and it's wonderful. So it can work, but you're right, Don, it's rare. The wonderful thing about Wicked is that we just need to zhuzh and spritz you, the whole popular song is actually a condemnation of how surface and trivial that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to point out, was that the examples you just gave, and I don't know if this is true in like straight size casting roles of the same scene, but it truly is just the clothing that changes, and she just feels the like excitement and of having like a new look and like feeling confident. And what Dom was pointing out, and I don't know if this is true in various theater productions or tropes, but definitely in movies where you have the like takes the glasses off, lets the hair down, and it's like she took off her disguise.
Yeah.
Like people truly could not see her for her beauty until she took off her disguise, which I don't think is what Empire Waste or Hairspray are doing. Like,
No,
I think it's a subtlety, but I think those are different scenes.
Yes.
And I don't know, is there a theater version of that?
These are also movies that are targeting a fat audience. In a more mainstream environment, I can't think of any fat makeover where just changing the dress happens.
No.
It's called The Biggest Loser, Don.
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
I would say one thing to sort of pull back the macro view of all this, which is it's the difference between the character changing themselves to better accommodate society. That's the pulling the glasses off. That's the, I'll wear a prettier dress. Then as opposed to, we need to change society for this character to function better in it, which is Empire Waste, which is Wicked. If you've only seen the movie of Wicked, it's coming in the next movie.
Yeah.
Hairspray, Hairspray is about societal transformation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess maybe anyone who's writing a role specifically with a fat character in mind is already thinking that way anyways.
Yes, exactly. You wouldn't write that show if you didn't want to have society transformed. Yeah.
I want to bring up one example specifically. In The Little Mermaid, the character Ursula.
Yeah.
You have the animated version where I think the fatness is not only present, but I want to say it's celebrated. Like her body moves.
She certainly loves how she looks.
Yeah.
She enjoys herself.
But I would also say the animators embrace the largesse of that body. I remember there's a scene where she drapes dramatically across a fainting couch and her entire body moves.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to remember Melissa McCarthy in the live action version, where I feel like the topic of her body gets avoided. The dress straps her in. She doesn't move.
Yeah.
Yes.
They cover her up and she's cinched. She's snatched. Like I feel like she can't like flop over the same way because her body can't move.
It would break the dress.
And all of that is to try and control her fatness.
Yeah.
To try and strap it in and give it a solidity at the very least. That is not what the character was before. It's something different now.
It's also the difference between live action and animation.
Yeah.
You see this in How to Train Your Dragon, where a lot of the fun camaraderie and friendship between Toothless and Hiccup. In the animated version, they're pals. It's like it's the boy and his dog. But when you make a dragon a real thing, holy shit, this is another species. This is a lizard. And the same thing with animated Fat versus how the audience responds to live action.
But so in the case of Ursula and live action versus animated, when they brought The Little Mermaid to Broadway, they did not cast a fat actress as Ursula.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing of like making a role fat makes it more interesting. And I'm like, are there any roles where if you put a thin person in it instead of a fat person where it would be more interesting? Having Ursula be thin is an example of like, no, that doesn't really make it.
No, and I don't think it can.
I feel like it makes it worse and makes it less interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because, like, I don't know why they didn't cast a fat actress. And like, they almost made it like, oh, this is a thin person role now that it's on Broadway.
It's about as revolutionary as casting a thin person as Hamlet, or as subversive and awful as casting a thin person in Hairspray.
I think it would be interesting to see Maleficent cast as a fat woman.
Oh, yes.
Because she is a character that is cast aside by society. That is the origin of the character. Nobody wants her around.
Yeah.
Well, that's also Ursula, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
What I was trying to like hammer down on, if I were to try and put myself in the mindset of the guy who wrote Little Mermaid, the character of Ursula, she is fat. She's an outcast. She also has this, like, she just luxuriates in her own body, like totally not hung up on it. And I think that is the weirdness that the audience is supposed to key into, which is that it is such a foreign idea that somebody would luxuriate in that kind of shape, that you are supposed to see her as weird and different and unrelatable.
Is she reveling in evil?
Yeah. Now, we've been able to kind of reclaim that role, I think, a little bit, and maybe it's all we had for a while. But if I were to guess, yeah, that's kind of where I think they were going with that character.
Okay, I feel like I'm about to say a duh. Really? You just noticed this statement? But I just noticed this. I just realized like all of the great Disney villainesses have either been cast aside because of societal norms or perform the evils they do for fear of being cast aside because of societal norms. The wicked stepmother.
When Snow White.
Am I the most beautiful in the world? Will I be treasured as always? The wicked stepmother in Cinderella is terrified that her daughters will be cast aside because of societal norms and that her more beautiful stepdaughter will ascend above her daughters.
Oh, that's interesting. Interesting.
Well, and she's almost evil because her husband who went away to sell his goods and then he died. And now she's a widow. And so there's that whole stigma along with it.
She is a Jane Austen character. I never quite realized that, but it's about getting her daughter's security, and she doesn't care about Cinderella. So, you know, her focus is on her ugly stepdaughters who will not get societal security. Ursula and Maleficent are both cast aside because they're the crones. They're the magical women who don't obey societal standards, so both of them get shoved aside.
Interesting.
I never thought about this before, so just something to chew on.
It is the very question asked by the musical Wicked. I mean, Glinda in the very first scene is like, is evil thrust upon us, or are we evil innately? She asked this question, I think, in the first scene of the play.
Yeah.
They're just women trying to get through the day. They're trying to have it all.
This is kind of not here or there, but like one of my favorite witch archetypes comes from the Stephen Sondheim show Into the Woods, where the witch is the villain until you really look at the witch.
Yeah.
And the witch asks this question at the end, or makes the statement, "You're so nice. You're not good. You're not bad. You're just nice. I'm not good. I'm not bad. I'm just right.
Yeah.
I'm the witch. You're the world."
Yeah. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
And like, it sums it up so well to me.
Yeah. It's the idea that conforming makes you a good person.
Yeah.
And the witch is saying nice isn't good. Nice is just nice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I feel like we're like right on the cusp of doing it anyway. So, Don, what is our bit for today?
Well, our bit for the day was going to be to fatify the musicals. So what musicals can you think of that would be changed in some drastic way by adding a fat character or making one of the characters fat? Now, I came up with just a list. I got punny.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
But some of these actually, I think, do change the musical in some way, right? So My Fat Lady for example. It's just Pygmalion with a fat lead actress. How does that change it?
Interesting. I think you could absolutely take Pygmalion and rewrite it so that the issue is not her accent, but her size.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, that is fascinating. Someone do that.
I'll go next. So I was trying to go through the list of musicals that I've actually seen that I would be pretty familiar with. And I stumbled across Fiddler on the Roof, which I saw the 2004 revival, which was supposed to have Alfred Molina, but we got his understudy, who was also incredible. Never skip a show just because it's the understudy. Yeah, exactly. They're always amazing.
Oh God, no, don't.
So the conceit, if you're not familiar with the musical, is that it completely focuses around the idea of Jewish tradition, and that the way that we live in, I think it's like turn of the 20th century, like the way we've survived so long is by adhering to tradition. And so when each of his 3 marrying age daughters decide to buck tradition, and instead of being matched by the matchmaker, they choose their own husbands in succession. It's this big thing. And he wrestles with, do I stick with tradition for the sake of tradition, or do I let my daughters, whom I love, do what their heart's telling them that they want? Mm-hmm. And each time it gets a little harder. And the reason for why they want to do it is a little harder for him to accept until the end, where he can't accept it at all because the guy's not Jewish. And in my head, I'm like, the premise here is predicated on the fact that he has 3 beautiful daughters. 3 daughters who would be so easy to match because anyone would want them. Mm-hmm. And the question is, what happens if one or more of them are fat? What if it's just one of them?
Oh, that's brilliant.
And then you could take the show a couple directions. I mean, either it would require rewriting it to like address that, or you don't rewrite it. And then it becomes more of what Trevor was talking about, where it's this kind of like identity commentary, and it lets a whole other aspect of your audience relate to the storyline in a way that they otherwise never would have been able to.
Yeah.
Or at least would have had more hurdles to jump over to get there.
I really like that, Michael, because then it puts Tevye, the father, in this position of, am I going to stop this marriage to this guy I don't approve of, but he loves my fat daughter? Because we have that stigma in our head that like, well, come on, she's fat. How many chances is she going to get?
Yeah.
I really love that brings it in either subconsciously if you don't address it in the dialogue, or very consciously. You make a new show about it.
Yeah. I don't think there's a wrong direction with it. It would just be really interesting to see that happen.
I thought about a lot of things. I was thinking about Sweeney Todd with Mrs. Lovett. We talked about this several episodes ago. I got to go with Wicked, and I got to go with Fat Alphabet, because I feel like it is
begging for it.
Yeah, it is.
It's begging for it. I feel like it adds so much more gravity to people hating her, and the grotesquerie and the trying to be the good daughter, and the moment where she just overtakes the stage, and the dress and the cape.
That'd be incredible.
Just like taking up all the space.
Come on, it is going to be a huge Act 1 closer when the fattest character on the stage, who is the lead, flies.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is going to be a huge, huge deal. It's going to send waves out through the audience. It is going to make people uncomfortable. It is going to make people snicker. It's going to make people's jaws drop. It is going to be wonderful and terrible.
And I think also, I don't think it would be a stretch that they would cast a thin actress as Glinda.
No.
But having that tension of like, why are you okay with yourself?
Yeah.
I can already hear like the coded, oh, it's because you're green, but you know it's not because they're green, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the green is incidental now.
Yeah, that becomes very interesting to me.
Boy, there seems to be a lot of green.
I think especially if you kind of adjust some of the styling so that she is showing a lot of skin.
Yeah.
Like even if she just like has a sleeveless dress, and you have her fat green arms, it's like, oh, you're green.
I love just imagining like the doors this would open up in terms of casting. Like, can you imagine Alex Newell playing Elphaba? That would complete Broadway as far as I'm concerned. That would be such a marriage of two like powerhouse,
the role, like, and the actor,
the casting and the show.
Yeah,
oh my God, that would be incredible.
Dan, what did you bring for us?
So I have a much more intimate and personal relationship to this topic than I think most people. My very first show that I directed in New York, I cast a friend of mine in the lead, and she happened to be fat. And I was very quickly educated by critics about how her being fat was the role, and that how revolutionary it was, that I had never thought about her size, but that was sort of my stupidity. Is I didn't take responsibility for the fact that you do a show and everybody's going to notice that, Dan. You have to take responsibility for it. I'm not saying do it or not do it. I'm saying you have to get that will be a thing. And again, the New York Critics Association made sure I was aware of that thing just by constantly mentioning it. It was amazing. And then I had another experience, and this will lead into my choice for the show. I had another experience where I was working with a director, and he said, "Oh, I would love to do a version of Romeo and Juliet where they're fat, because then you'd know it wasn't just sex. Like it wasn't just a sexual attraction."
Oh.
Because that would prove it, right? Because two fat people couldn't possibly be into each other physically, right? I took issue with that a lot.
Boy.
And it is why I want to do a fat version of Romeo and Juliet. And I don't know how that works, because if you make it a fat Juliet, I don't think that'll have the desired effect. I think people will they'll just sneer at it.
Chaser, fetishist Romeo.
Exactly. And if you make Romeo fat, I think it'll be just he's fat, but it's okay. He's the guy.
Yeah, true.
And I thought, well, what if you reversed it? What if you make them both fat and they're absolutely in love with each other and he can't get over Rosalind, who's rail thin, and he's like, fuck her. Or you reverse it, and you make Romeo and Juliet like models, but everybody else in the world is fat.
I have a pitch on your pitch.
Oh, please do, because I'm obviously not decided here.
I don't remember the show all that well because it's so fucking intentionally convoluted, but you probably do, and Don probably does. So A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh.
The magical, the
brilliant
transformation into the ass. I can't remember exactly who that happens to or why, but there's somebody gets magically turned into not themselves.
Not only that, so that's bottom. He gets the head of an ass. But the whole point of the lovers quartet is they fall in love with the wrong person.
Yeah.
And so what if the thin person fell in love with the fat person, and the fat person fell in love with the thin person? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think that would be, the problem is that they go back to where they're supposed to be by the end of the play. But maybe you change it.
Yeah, I think you could have a lot of fun with that.
I think if you have it that the mixed couples are who they're supposed to be with, but it's commentary that you have the fat people with the fat people and the thin people with the thin people, because it's like that's that's where it goes wrong.
Yeah, you know why though? This is actually in the text, because Puck, who instigates all this rearranging, does it thinking he's helping the situation.
Yeah.
So having the thin people fall in love with each other and the fat people, he's fixing it.
Right. It's the healthism. I'm going to help you because you can't help yourself.
And Puck is played by Jillian Michaels.
That's
just screaming at everyone on Broadway.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got a couple other. I'm just going to do a lightning round on the list here.
Okay.
All right. I have a couple that were just names, right? So I've got The King and Pie. I've got The Pounds of Music.
Oh boy.
But some of these actually, I do think if you change some of these, they become a little bit more interesting. So instead of The Little Mermaid, you've got The Big Ass Mermaid, where she ends up selling her fatness to the witch.
Oh.
So that when she finally meets the prince, he doesn't fucking recognize her. No, I remember the woman who saved me. You don't look like her.
And the prince is a chaser.
Right? 7 skinny brides and 1 fat one for 7 brothers. I don't know where you go with that, but I think it could be interesting. Instead of cats, you get fats, which I think could be a very interesting staging. But here's the one that I actually kind of like the idea of a little bit. So Dan, see if you can figure out which musical I'm parodying as I describe this a little bit, okay?
Okay.
So this man is exploring the UK, and he's never known love. His entire life, he's never found a woman that got him going. He just never once found love. And then while traveling through northern UK, he discovers this beautiful woman who's huge and voluptuous and wonderful. And he falls for her in a way that he's never fallen for a woman. But after 24 hours, he discovers that her body will waste away and become very thin, just like everyone else in the world. And he finds out that only once every 10 years will she achieve this beautiful body. Dan, do you know which play I'm parodying here?
It's either Shrek or Brigadoon.
It is Bigger June, the woman June, whose body transforms once every 10 years. And so I just had this very interesting image of a man falling in love with a woman whose body will change in 24 hours and become something completely different. And what does that do to the love story?
Oh, boy.
I was just curious about that. I thought that was interesting.
That's a can of worms.
Right. So, Trevor, if one of our listeners has a fat pitch on a musical that they would like to tell us about, where can they do that?
We're on Instagram and Blue Sky as at Big Fat Gay Pod. We're on Facebook as the Big Fat Gay Podcast. Leave us 5 stars there or on your preferred podcast platform. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/BigFatGayPod. See the articles we talked about at www.bigfatgaypod.com. Baby, maybe you're taking out your earpods because you just finished listening. You're about to watch a Broadway show. It's a big old Broadway show. And there's crinkling wrappers in front of you. You're not supposed to do that at the movies.
Or in the theater.
Or that's in the theaters, especially on Broadway. And you're like, you go to tap person because they're being very rude and crinkling very loudly. And it's Michael. And what does Michael say?
What? Oh dear.
His mouth is full of candy.
Yeah, candy.
Oh, he's gone. He's just gone.
I was so wrapped up in where is this going? Here, watch out. There we go.